Oh my God, guys. I literally am going to be recorded as saying, I can't stand this woman and I love her so much. If you guys only knew what happened behind the scenes, how many times I done introduced and she forgot something and we had to re-record. So this is going to seem robotic. Hi, guys. It's your two poly chicks, Cindy and
Tiffany.
look at her not saying her name, Tiffany.
Are we
Yes.
standing strong and shining in our truth?
Yeah.
And as we introduce or discuss women's history this month, we just want to find out why and why do we celebrate women's history? And one of the reasons is similar to why we celebrate Black history or why we celebrate Hispanic or is it Hispanic? I always get it.
Hispanic History Month,
Yes.
Native American Month. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, all those months, the celebratory months that we talked about last month in February.
Mm-hmm.
And women's history is basically a celebration of the achievements, the culture, and how society views us as women, and how they celebrate us as women. So the observation for the month is in March, as we are. And it started in 1987. It began as a week-long thing, like they did with the Black history as well. It began as a week-long thing, but come on, women, we have so much history and so much to be celebrated that we can't just keep a month, right?
Put a month on it. Put a month on it, right?
No, we can't. We can't put a month on it. We had to put a month on it. We couldn't keep a week. So, what do you think about that month, Cindy?
I think it's neat. I think it's, again, the same idea of why, like you said, with Black History Month, why do we have that? Because women, there's this debate going on about whether women are minorities or not. If you're a white woman, are you a minority? I've heard that discussion because women, that category is considered minority. So when we think minority, we normally think people of color.
Yeah.
But women are considered a minority. Why? Because we don't have equal pay. We don't always have equal rights. We're still trying to break, as they say, that glass ceiling. So that's the reason why. What I thought interesting about that commercial, even when I saw it a long time ago, was there are alternatives to always saying, oh, I'm sorry, because I do it all the time. And I consider myself to be strong. But I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry. And then I'll walk away and be like, why did I apologize? He bumped into me. Or this person, I'm just asking a question. Why am I sorry? Yeah. But you know that if you don't say sorry, you're considered the B word. Like if you're too strong. So if you say, why are we going over this again? You look like a B. If you say, why is that a problem with so-and-so? You're questioning or you're a monster. And this is whether you're a white woman or a Black woman or a minority woman. It doesn't matter. But if a man does it, he's strong.
Yeah.
So that's why we need.
He comes into the room and says, hey, what time is that meeting? He's not sorry. And like you said, I find myself saying that a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I change the channel? Or, oh, I'm sorry. Can I get this? Or can you get that for me? And I think it's just apologetic I don't want to say by nature, but it's almost like we're apologizing for asserting ourselves. Remember that wasn't something that was acceptable a few years ago, being assertive. And like you said at the beginning, there's a difference between being apologetic for something that you did wrong and that you need to correct versus just sorry because you bumped into me, or sorry because the room or have a question. That's not a time to be sorry. Just like in the commercial when she's like, even though the commercial, when she pulled the blanket off of her husband or her baby.
Yeah, that was a little rude.
That's the time to say sorry. But when you're entering a meeting and have a question, you shouldn't say, oh, I'm sorry. This is a question. There are no stupid questions except for the ones that are not asked. But
I think we've allowed ourselves to be taught that. I think we taught these roles. So if you look at the singles video we did, we talked about roles and role reversals. But a lot of the stigmas that are attached to women, white women, Black women, in general, just Black people, Black men, these roles, we've accepted them because we've been taught them. And it was what I said, part of the video, part of our conversation that we had with one of our guests was we don't have to accept what's being taught to us. So if you're accepting what's being taught, you are perpetuating it. So why is she a B if she spoke up the same way he did? Why is she a B? Because she said, why are we going over this again? And she literally legitimately asked a specific question, but she's a B.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's a good question. And it's, I guess, like I said, there's a thin line between being assertive and being that B word, whatever that B word is.
Being
But
B.
there's
Beastly.
a line between that. But if you have a question in a meeting, like in that commercial, and she says, "Hey," first of all, you're negating what you're thinking by saying this is a stupid question. And it's like, well, now you're thinking you're stupid because you're asking this stupid question instead of saying, "Hey, I have a question. Can we go over this part again?" Or, "I have a question. Can you clarify this again?" Because seeking knowledge is powerful as well. So just assert yourself and not apologize for being who you are and how you are. And one of the things that came up, and I think we're going to put her out as, you know, how we do those tidbits about women's history, Black history. We're going to talk about Simone Biles, and she was unapologetically forceful with her performance, and she came up with
and the Williams sisters, Serena Williams and them.
Yeah, well, see, the difference with Simone Biles is she had came up with a new move, which is very complex, and instead of making it more points, they kind of lowered it in point value, because a lot of people can't
do it. Right.
A lot of people couldn't do that move. So it's like, okay, let's lower it in point value, which is kind of negating the power and the ability of a specific person. And then I don't think they would ever do that to a guy. I don't think they would. They would just say, well, man up and do that move. Let's all achieve.
You would have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, LeBron and what's his name, Michael Jordan. They never said, okay, well, this dunk that he did was kind of like imperfect. They say, well, we all aspire to get to that point.
It's the same thing in baseball. There's a knuckleball pitch where you throw it a certain way. That's a very rare kind of a pitch. There's not a lot of people that throw knuckleball, and so these pitches become knuckleball pitches. They don't say, no fair, the hitters can't hit that. They don't say that. They say you better learn how to hit the knuckleball, or that's gonna be a bad night for your team if you don't know how to hit for that day. You know, it's the same idea, same thing.
It's sad that it's almost like we're expected to dull ourselves, and in order to achieve what we need to. And we discussed, we don't have equal pay yet. We don't have equal standing in a lot of fields. So when we ask, are the celebratory months needed? Yes, they are. Until we start having those the first woman astronaut or the first woman XYZ, until we stop having the first and we're on an equal playing field. And I think we need to highlight the women, the Hispanic people, Asian, Black. We need to highlight the achievements and the abilities as well. So,
and stop apologizing for expressing a need. And I just was seeing an interview. I know it's not new. It's probably from a few years ago. One of the women from Desperate Housewives, in real life, she had gotten a trail of some kind. She decided out some kind of a ride and live in it. And everybody in the news media was saying, oh, she's poor, she's broke, she's desolate. Terry Hatch, I think. Poor and all of this stuff they were saying about her. And she did an interview and she said, why is it that I'm being called poor and stuff, but I think Matthew McConaughey or somebody else, a male, a white male, same thing. He did the same thing, pimped out a truck and was living in it. And he's not. It was like trendy and it was nice and it was sexy, but for her, she's homeless. She's a bag lady. Because she did that. And I was just laughing. That, and I also wanted to say, you said that Women's History Month started in 1987, which is true. But do you know that the women's movement happened really in the progressive era, which is like the 1800s and the 1890s, when like rich white women were fighting for their rights because they still didn't have the right to vote. So I thought it was interesting when I was reading, they were saying it was a National Women's Day at first. And that it happened because of the Triangle Shirtwaist fires in New York City. The women that worked in the because women generally were factory workers, right? Doing the shirts, sewing the shirts and stuff. And this fire happened and what happened? The boss closed all the doors. So the women couldn't get out in the fire, so they all died. And so right after that in 1911, they decided to have a National Women's Day. And he did that because he didn't want the union reps to get inside the building to tell them y'all are being overworked and underpaid. So I thought that was an interesting thing about an interesting tidbit about women's history.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I remember reading about that. It was in the fashion district in New York?
Yeah, it's in fashion district, the garment district, the garment district.
The garment district. And
like the 20s, 20th Street, 15th Street, something like that, like in that area.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how they don't want you to know, just kind of like how they don't want you to read, or they don't want you to know certain rights, because knowledge is always power, no matter what. So we did get the right to vote in 1920. I mean, women, I don't want to say women, because Black people didn't have access to the ballot box until a little bit
yesterday. Till yesterday. with the Biden election.
We did get the right to vote. Women got the right to vote in 1920.
Right.
And what I saw was something that was notable was we weren't allowed to serve on juries until 1975 with the Taylor versus Louisiana case. We weren't allowed on juries. Now imagine if there's something going on that affects women or affects a women's point of view, and you're supposed to be judged by a jury of your peers. And if it's a woman on trial and there's 12 men, how is that how are those people?
Tip. But you remember when Kamala Harris asked Kavanaugh, I think it was? Yes. Can you ever think of oh my God, I needed a cigarette.
I like that.
She said, Senator Kavanaugh. Was it Senator Kavanaugh, right?
No.
Or Judge Kavanaugh.
Yep.
She said, is there ever a time that you could think of where a woman got to decide what a man can do with his body parts? Yeah. So she was arguing about abortion. Or the right to your body.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow.
It's a right to birth control and a right to abortions as well.
Right.
But the way she said it, it was, can you think of any laws that govern anything that govern what a man can do with his or his body? And he was like, any laws?
Define laws.
And she's like, anything, like, basically I'll go back to you. And there's not one thing that decides what a man can do. Yeah. It was just like, that is such a good question. And that's why we need women in politics. That's why we need women representing other women for like I said, if we weren't allowed to serve on juries until 1975, then a jury of your peers wouldn't be valid, because there are no women on there. These are not my peers, when they're, usually your peers are either I guess if they classify your same skin color, or
your area, maybe that live in your district, maybe that's your gender.
Really, when we say peers, we need women on the jury as well. So
Kamala Harris talking about her brings us to the facts of, because I think we said we wanted to talk about some of the facts related to women. And I thought it was very interesting. I Googled common jobs for women. I know you wanted to talk about uncommon, but I wanted to talk about common, because the list just still stays the same over the years, no matter how many years have gone by we exist. Real estate, medical profession, school teacher, government workers, so we're nurses, we're doing that kind of thing all the time. Customer service, nannies. What I thought was interesting, we're not in the food industry, but we are stigmatized as being the ones to cook. But we're not in the food industry. Who are the biggest top chefs? Bobby Flay and
Ramsey.
Bam, what's his name? Bam, Emeril Lagasse.
Yeah.
Emeril Lagasse. And there's very few women that have taken over the food industry. And I just thought that was very funny that they're gonna let us have it, but not all, not so far, So I thought it was interesting that women are not in that profession. We're also not in sports heavily, like leadership in the sports. We're just getting our new coaches. We're just getting them. We're not a lot in tech. We're not in Michelin tire companies. We don't run those kind of companies. So I just think the ceiling is we're not there yet. We're just not there yet.
And that's what the progressive movement, or the progression of women, is about. We're fighting to get our feet in the doors in those arenas. And when you say unusual careers, one of the people, Barbara Ress, actually was one of the the real estate, what was she, a builder? She was like a builder for the Trump Tower, and she was one of the first women to actually work on a major building, and he employed her as a female. Barbara Rest, look her up, and she was one of the she was kind of like one of the goats in the real estate industry in Manhattan at that time. And also a shout out to Sarah Thomas, who's an NFL referee. She's the first woman to referee or to officiate an NFL game, and the first woman to officiate a Super Bowl, because she was just officiating the Super Bowl that just passed. So that, I mean, that was what, 2021. So I mean, NFL has been around for a while, but she's the first woman to do that. And I think that that's kind of good, that when you say sports and certain things that we're not involved in heavily, but that's something that, yeah, I mean, and there was another female baseball coach or something to that that I was watching the news.
Really?
I was in baseball as a Black female, first Black female. She was something. I would have to look her up, but look, you'll probably see her before me, because I don't watch baseball too much.
Well, I know what's her name owns a sports team. I don't want to even say her name because I don't really care for her, but she's she's the owner of a team. I forgot which team it was. The Mavericks, maybe? I forgot who.
I don't know.
I'm probably somebody gonna come for me and get me. But I know there's not that many women owners of sports teams. Like,
I know you're talking about the lady from Georgia.
Loeffler, isn't it Loeffler?
Yeah,
Loeffler?
she owns a WNBA team, and
a team. I know she owns a sports team.
But I think they were in the process of selling.
Right, because she's humiliated, so she's selling it. Yeah. But just to be on that, just to have that title under your belt, whoever you are, you're still a woman that has owned something that sports is. We just got the NBA, the WNBA. We just got that. That's not like something old. That's something really fairly new. I don't know how many years now. 20 years, 30 years.
I know WNBA. It was 90s, so maybe 30, about 30 years, which is fairly new when you look at the history of.
Right, it feels new. So. One of the things I want to talk about in terms of the facts, I wrote this one down, so I got to look at my paper. The 5 safest places for women to live. I saw this article on it. It said Switzerland, although Switzerland didn't give women the right to vote till 1970. They're considered the 5th. Austria, I was surprised. Austria, Ireland, Singapore. I was really surprised at Singapore, and Spain. Spain is number 1. And they were saying that in terms of crimes against women, rapes, being attacked and stuff, and being able to go out at night and jog and do that kind of stuff, those are the safest places to live for women. I thought that was very interesting. I was like, wow, that's very interesting.
It's surprising when you think of the places. It's like, really, there?
Right, right.
I can see Spain, but when you say Austria or Singapore, it's not one of those things that you're thinking, oh, that's a really safe place for women. But hey, facts are stubborn things. You can't dispute them.
Right? You can't dispute the facts. I mean, I was like, America is not on the list.
What's those things? What are they? Statistics. I mean, numbers are numbers. Jay-Z always say men lie, women lie, but numbers don't. So
numbers don't lie. But it was interesting to see that America's not on the list.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of crimes against women. Like I said, like we both keep saying, we don't have equal pay. We haven't had, and I don't know what that is, what that's about. And I guess it's because, when you build something for a specific person or a specific race, then those coming in, it's like we're doing you a favor by giving you this little tidbit of a job. Right. So we can't possibly pay you what you're worth. And I wonder if they think that women just can't do the jobs, or if we don't have the skill. I wonder what the mindset is.
Well, we've already been proven that we can do most things, but I think it goes back to it's kind of unfair when they say white people and you just put them all in a category. White people have 2 genders, and one of the genders this country was made for, white male, then property owning, land owning, and now even if you're not land owning, property owning, have money, if you're handsome.
Yeah.
Or that kind of stuff. If you're tall, if you're handsome, if you're white, that is the epitome. Women are not up there at that. Yeah, they're in a second or third when you think categorically. That's why I said in the beginning, you know, women are still considered to be minorities in some sense, because this country was made for white males, and the way our eyes generally look, it's the tall, handsome white male, money or no money.
Which there's nothing wrong with a tall, handsome white male, but
nothing wrong with a tall drink of milk, a tall glass of milk. But in terms of power, they're at the top of the line, and so that's gender new. That's just men, white men.
Yeah,
that's who's at the top of the list. So when you think about money, in terms of earnings, I think it would hurt their ego if the woman made more than them. You know, the old joke of, you know, your woman makes more than you.
But why does it have to be more instead of equal? Why can't it just be equal?
Well, if I make you equal, that means you're the same.
Right, but it doesn't have to be more. It's equal.
If I make you equal, you're the same though. I don't want you to be the same. I'm better than you.
Okay.
I'm here. I can't have you be here with me.
Okay.
You know, I'm not gonna come down off the mountain.
But see, that's why, I mean, it's coming. It's slowly but surely coming, because
it's coming down.
It is definitely coming. So
that was sarcasm, guys. That was sarcasm.
You can fight it all you want, but
it's happening. It's happening.
It's
but
coming.
You know, the pay, you know, they fight, you know, the white male. It's political power, financial power, guns, rights to guns. Those are the things that generally you know who's fighting for. And so anybody that tries to get on equal footing with that, I'm gonna push back. I don't want you to have, you know, as much as me, whether you're a white woman or a Black woman, or a Hispanic woman, a Native American, I don't care. But shout out to Biden. I mean, he did choose a lot of women in his in his selections. He did pick a lot of women. So we'll see what they do.
I was gonna say, and once you get your foot in the door, that opens the door to having other women. And I mean, I would hate to be the first at anything, because it puts so much pressure on you, because they'll say as soon as you make a mistake, see, that's why we don't want women in here. You
toast.
Call out sick one time or say anything about your cycle. Oh my gosh. It's like,
we gotta consider a cycle.
It's like, no way. See, this is why we didn't want you in the first place. But one of the things we did, I wanted to talk about was some of the inventions that I didn't know women had created, which were, I'm going to look at my paper, the call center and home security systems, like the system that, like the telephone, having all those connections with different lines for one number, and the home security system. Also the laser cataract surgery, a woman invented that. The Monopoly game, a woman invented that. There's a guy on the I guess that just shows, you know,
right,
monopolies. And the best thing that I think a woman created, which is the Kevlar, which goes into bulletproof vests, which is for a woman to even be thinking about. But she it was her name, but a woman invented Kevlar. So we're empowering you guys to go ahead and take a look at those inventions and see so
I put a video up, or I saved the video in our special topics section, and it was on 5 Black women who, you know, bucked the system basically. So I wanted to talk about 2 of them.
Okay.
Which I didn't know about the woman with the bulletproof vest. Wow. And it kind of makes sense, the things that they created, because those are the fields that we generally put women in, which is you said home security. I could see that. Monopoly is
the call center,
the call center. I could see that, you know, sort of those altruistic kind of caring about society kind of things. I could see that, but I mean, we could do anything. But the 2 women I read about, which I thought was funny, it was 5 of them, but 2 of them I picked out, was Ellen Craft. She pretended to be a man, white man. She was very fair skinned. She pretended to be a white man, Her husband pretended to be her servant, like her butler. And they escaped to Boston.
Hey.
So they bought their ticket. and they bought their first class ticket and traveled and they escaped. Then they made a mistake. They started like bragging about it and they became part of the abolitionist movement and stuff. Right. And then in 1850, that law was signed that a slave master can go anywhere he wants and look for his slave. It was a fugitive act. You can go find them and bring them back. Mm-hmm. So they had to go on the run because they had become really popular telling their story of how they escaped. She pretended to be a man. And so they had to, I think, move out of country.
See, that's how we're back. A family that plans together prospers.
That's together, exactly. Right? So that was that one. Then there was Mary Bowser. She pretended to be like illiterate. Like, I don't want to say dumb, but she pretended basically to be special and dumb, but she was a spy. So she'd be serving the dinner. She was a slave. She'd be serving the dinners and stuff. And listening to the British soldiers, the Confederates, so listening to what everybody's saying and reporting it back. I thought that was hilarious.
So they think I can read and hear and see. But,
exactly. They think I don't know nothing. So sometimes you just gotta be innovative.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'll say this about the some of the servants. When you consider people that are in the service industry, most people overlook them. Most people don't discuss or talk to them, look at them. And it's like, those are the ones that have the most information. Like,
the driver, who's your driver, who's holding your umbrella.
Yep, they're like, ooh.
They just listening and watching. Your masseuse, you talking on your phone. Now, one of the other things I put the video in, I thought this was just, I want to do more research on it, but it was, there's several all women communities in Africa.
No.
In Kenya, northern Kenya, they said, it's called the Samburu region. Mm-hmm. This woman named Rebecca, I forgot to write her last name down, but in the 1990s, she was brutally beaten because she was speaking out against the British soldiers.
Okay.
So, and her husband did not defend or protect her. So she left him and started her own community in Africa. And she named it Umoja, which is no men allowed. Wow. So it's an all woman, it's a matriarchal society. But they do get to, shimmy, but the men can't stay.
How are they still in existence?
No, the men, I asked the same question. They get the visits and all of that, but the man can't stay.
Okay.
And if you come there, I can get with that. I knew you would. But you know what? They get to visit, but if they want to stay, they have to agree to agree with the woman. They have to can't come in and try to overthrow. So some of the men were protesting it because they were like, they need our protection. They need us. But what was happening there, and still happening, female genital mutilation. So they cut the woman's pleasure parts.
Yeah.
Cut it right on off because they don't want a woman to have pleasure. Because if she has pleasure, she'll like sex and possibly become promiscuous. I think that was what the thinking was. So she's just made to have babies. So she doesn't need her clitoris. She just could, have a baby. She don't need it for pleasure. She only needs it for pleasure. So they were doing that. So they were raping, beatings, killing. You could kill your wife, you could kill a woman, and you don't even get prosecuted for it. So the women were very angry and tired of it. So they made these communities, and I think they said it's growing. And Barack Obama had a speech where he talked about it in 2015, and about how mutilations are still going on and this brutality against women. But they said the idea of all women, all female culture, all female communities is growing. It's 3 of them now. At least 3, I think.
I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to be. I don't know. I would have to go visit and see. I don't know if I
saw it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, like I said, I would want to go visit.
Your sound is going weird for some reason.
Oh, I said I would want to go. Okay. I would want to go visit and see and stay for a little while before deciding to be a part of that.
Well, you still got your conjugals, you still got your visits.
I just would have to see how that goes. Like, test it out, put my foot in the water and see, and be like, just to see. But
see, like, let's do the sniff test
that we talked about. I know you mentioned a few Black women. I know on my list was Misty Copeland, which was one of the first, or is the first Black principal ballerina in the American ballet.
Yeah.
Like that fact, and the dads on my school board, on the school board, was saying that his daughter, he's a white male, she's a white young lady, that's her idol, Misty Copeland. I thought that was so cool that the more you become integrated in the society, the more people see you as human and as and 3 other people. I want to shout out the first.
Wait, tip. Before you say that, I'm sorry. Before you say that, I just when you talked about that, what I thought was very interesting when you read women's history, oftentimes it was the white wealthy women that were responsible for a lot of the progressive change in terms of African Americans, in terms of justice and equal rights. And even today, that's what they were saying. We need the white women to stand with to stand up and say no, because those are the ones that tended to vote, that tend to be the power behind the scene of the thing. So I thought it was very interesting, the whole women's history. I mean, that's not taken away from anything else, but the what they were talking about in a lot of the videos I saw, the clubs and organizations of wealthy white women were responsible for a lot of the movement that happened. Of course, there's a lot of Black people doing it, but you still, as we always talk about in my other videos, we need everybody.
Yeah.
When you look at the other side, you need everybody
to progress the movement. We need the allies that believe that everyone is equal. We need those people. We need those people in the fight. And anytime we post anything that may be against a specific thing or person, it's not, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Because I feel like we're not talking about you specifically when you're an ally, and even if you don't agree with certain things, if you're an ally, we need the allies. That is never a question or anything that we would negate. But I mean, there's certain things that we have to all fight against. So but
we need us.
We need each
us.
other, and we need to all be in the fight together. I wish it wasn't a fight, but we have to be there. One of the other things the other 3 people, it's the first Latina, which is Sonia Sotomayor. U.S. Supreme Court Justice. She was appointed by Obama. Also Patsy Mink. She's the first Asian American elected to Congress. So before there was Kamala, and who else is it? There's a few other Asian Americans in Congress and in oh gosh, I lost my thought on who it was, and I have her name.
I'm trying to think of. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think of her name, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. But there's a few. The girl, they would think that she was going to be Joe Biden's running mate. Oh my gosh.
Not Susan Wright. Wait, no, not Susan.
No, she lost her leg. She's a
not Klobuchar. Not Klobuchar.
No, she's a veteran. She lost her legs in one of the wars. Oh my gosh. Forgive me, guys.
She was a war vet.
Yes, I'll put it in the comments. But before,
okay, go ahead. You go ahead. I'm gonna be looking. We got 3. We said we're gonna be about 3 minutes, right? So let's.
So
okay, go ahead. I'll look.
Before her, before Kamala, like everyone celebrates Kamala because she's the first Black American and first Asian American woman in a high office like that. But there's a lot. And Patsy Mink was the first Asian American in Congress. And then we have Ada Lovelace, which was the first computer programmer. She was the first person to write an algorithm for a computing machine. So there's women that are out here creating.
Tammy Duckworth. I'm sorry, Tammy Duckworth.
Yes, Tammy Duckworth. Like there's a few others that they're in my head and in my thoughts, but I don't have their names down. But Patsy Mink, keep her in mind as the first Asian American elected to Congress, and Ada Lovelace, the first she wrote the first algorithm for a computer machine. And we all know Sonia Sotomayor, the first
Sotomayor.
and then Misty Copeland. So those were the celebrated people that I wanted to have.
And even if you remember the movie Hidden Figures, I mean, I didn't even know about them. And I didn't know about it until I went and saw the movie. I was like, wow. In NASA, we have a lot of women. That profession, the tech profession is growing with women.
Yeah.
So it's not just, we're not just government, nursing, teaching anymore. In the medical profession, I think in the medical profession, we've made a lot of headway. But it's those side kind of things where we still need to make headway.
And I know you said we had just a few minutes, but I wanted to just say we need women in politics because representation matters. When it comes to health, women's health, matters of family, equality, we need women in politics. We need you in local office, the high offices, Congress, school boards. We need your voice because representation matters. So that's just,
and you see what's happening now. I don't know where it is, South Carolina, Louisiana, somewhere, they're rolling back the laws related to women's rights in the medical, making decisions about your body. So when people think about those things, they always think abortion, but it's more than that. What about education? What about birth control? Those things which tend to affect women, minority women. But in general, it's just women just being able to make those decisions about your body. And now that we have an imbalance in the Supreme Court, if those cases go to the Supreme Court, the last female judge that's there is known as being staunchly conservative. So it's no longer a left and right issue. It's just your right to say what you want to do with your body and your decision between you, your doctor, and potentially the spouse or the person that you with, and y'all decide together. That's who should be deciding that. So anyway,
And it's so funny, Cindy, that you say that, but these are the same people. Usually the conservatives are saying, I don't want government telling me what to do. Unless you're a woman, unless
it's your body,
unless you're doing that. But if you say, hey, come to guns, I don't want government telling me how I can use this, and that. But my body, oh no.
That's another kettle of fish, as they say.
So it's like, wait a minute, you don't want government telling us what to do. So
it's hypocritical. It's hypocritical.
My body. So
I don't want them to be letting people move in, but I think everybody should be free. So I don't think, as he used to say, they're going to come to the suburbs. Who's he talking about? They going to come to the suburbs. I don't want that. I just want to be able to have my guns, tell you not to do anything with your body. And I want to be able to not wear a mask. And I think that's about it. And not see you hurt any animals.
Man. And you know, it's so crazy, but I mean, well, that's off topic. So I'll leave it because I don't like talking about that person anymore.
I know, but
I don't want to give it air or life. And that was one of the problems of how he got, in office anyway. So.
And it still is happening now. So I think we did. We talked about our women in careers, why we need women in politics.
Yes.
Still resonates. The clip that we showed earlier, unfortunately, still resonates. I want us to get to the point where we're looking at a video going, that doesn't apply anymore. Unfortunately, I mean, we do see crime is still an acceptable thing. I remember when I was a rape crisis counselor, a lot of police departments would report a rape as a burglary or a theft because they didn't want to put down a rape on the books as the crime that happened under their precinct. So we still see that happening. We still see crimes against women acceptable. All those things mean we still need Women's History Month.
More education on it, and we need the celebratory months to highlight the progress that we are making as well. So that's what I think.
This was good, Tiff.
Yes, another good one in the book.
This was good, you guys. Leave a comment down below. Don't forget to, this Tiffany, right? Like us on Facebook, on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, our 2polychicks@gmail.com. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, send it to us, or a question. You can even make a comment down below or ask a question. We're always here. And I forgot one thing, like our page, I said. Did I say everything? Instagram. I didn't say Instagram.
It's 2polychicks at Facebook, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and polychicks on YouTube. So
YouTube, which is where you are.
Yes.
All right. So I want Tiffany, have a good day, guys. I want you, Tiffany, to remember she has the record button today. Bye.